you're currently seated on the right-hand side of the truck. Please let your hands, arms, feet, and legs towards the sliding shut. We'll be on our way in just a moment. Sound awarded. Thank you very much. All right, my friends, we see here in Harambe, Twin Day. Twin Day means let's go. Jumbo, everyone. Welcome aboard the Kilimanjaro Safaris. My name is Zach. I'll be your driver and safari guide today on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. A couple of important safety items before we get going. Please make sure that at all times you remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck. And yes, that does include our kids. Where they are seated now is they're going to stay fully and completely seated, facing forwards the whole time, even when we're not moving. Hang on tight to all those personal belongings. Anything happens to fall out of the truck, I'm not going to be able to stop and grab it. It also will probably not come back in the same condition you lost it. So let me know. We'll try and get it back to you as soon as possible. Also, for the safety and respect of these animals and those around us, please do not hoot, holler, whistle, yell, bark, make kissing noises, calling animals in any way, shape, or form. Please also refrain from eating, drinking, smoking, or using flash photography while on reserve today. Now, our first stop out here will be the Little Ituri Forest. Animals out here do tend to rely on camouflage to hide from predators. We are in a little bit of luck, though. We're getting a little bit further up ahead here. If you look carefully back there to the right-hand side, between that bamboo, you have a chance to see an okapi, dark brown animal, black and white stripes in their legs and hindquarters. And despite those black and white stripes, the okapi are not closely related to the zebra. Their closest known relative is the giraffe. Okapi have a long, purplish-black prehensile tongue, just like the giraffe. It grows around 16 to 18 inches long, and that's actually long enough if the okapi wanted to. They can lick their own eyeballs and inner ear. I know that might sound a little bit gross, but don't lie. If your tongue was that long, you'd want to try it too. I know that I would at least. The okapi were also not discovered by us in the Western world until just about 1901. They spent a lot of their time hiding, and local cultures would describe them as having the legs of a zebra and the head of a giraffe. So we didn't actually think that they were real, even though they definitely are. They look pretty much exactly like that too. Legs of a zebra and the head of a giraffe. We'll keep on making our way through the forest, though, see what else we can spot. If you look carefully back to the left, you'll see a black rhinoceros way back on that rock wall. The black rhinos are one of 5 different species of rhinoceros. Make sure you're staying seated, my friend. And they're one of 5 different species of rhino and the smaller of 3 that live out here in Africa. They grow about 2,600 pounds fully grown. The word small is relative.
Look, he is there. Look at him. He's up there. See him?
There's also a few different antelope species ahead of us. Way up there on the left-hand side, orangish-brown ones, white markings, tan horns. Those are called bongos. The light brown sandy antelope without any horns, that is a greater kudu. Only male greater kudu grow horns, so when we see them we know as a female. Whereas with the bongos, both males and females are the horns that they have. That tall black and white bird is a saddle-billed stork. Their name comes from the yellow piece in their bills. It looks a bit like a saddle. They can actually grow to about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan of around 9 feet long. That seems like about all we're going to find in the forest, though, so we'll make our way towards the Safi River. See what's over in this direction. The river is a good place to find aquatic animals, so we'll keep a lookout for any dark shadows in the water, maybe some bubbles popping up here and there. Both usually great signs of finding some wildlife nearby. And we're getting a bit of luck already. I do see some pink-backed pelicans here on the shorelines. Larger white, most light gray birds, long yellow bills. The pink-backed pelicans get their name from their mating season when the skin on their backs will flush with a bright pink color. They're very colonial birds too. They nest in pairs, anywhere between 20 to over 500 of them in one group. A group of them is also called a pod of pink-backed pelicans. To our left-hand side here, there's a Nile hippopotamus there in the water. My friends, I know we're excited to see these animals, but once we get a little bit closer to someone, we want to start keeping our volume down, so I have pretty sensitive hearing. And if we do all that loud noise, it's going to scare them away from the truck, so we don't want to do that. The hippos will spend about 16 to 18 hours a day inside the water. They can also hold their breath for up to 8 minutes while they submerge before they need to come further. On average, adult hippos like these ones will eat about 80 pounds of food every single day. And that's also the same average weight of baby hippos when they're born, 80 pounds. They only keep on growing from there. A group of hippos is also called a bloat. A bloat of hippos. Kind of on our left-hand side, though, looks like they're going to find a basque of Nile crocodiles here on the shoreline. Crocodiles are ectothermic animals. Their heat comes from outside sources. They don't make it themselves. Like any other reptiles, they are cold-blooded. The Nile crocodile is going to be around 500 pounds, over 11 feet in length, can swim at speeds around 22 miles per hour, and have a bite force of around 3,000 pounds per square inch. Don't let all that scare you. They're also some of the best parents in the entire animal kingdom. When crocodiles first lay their eggs, they'll hold them on the inside of their mouths to incubate them and help them grow. And when it gets closer to time for their eggs to hatch, they roll them around to the inside of their mouths. What that does is pre-crack their eggshells without crushing them. It makes it easier for babies to hatch as soon as they're ready. Well, we'll start making our way out towards the savannah. It's the next section reserve, also the largest section. There's a lot less tree coverage out here. Instead of relying on camouflage, most animals rely on their safety in numbers and their speed to outmaneuver predators. Coming up on our right, one of the most important types of tree on the savannah, it's called the baobab tree. The baobab trees have a few different nicknames too. Around 9 months out of the year, all the branches on this type of tree will be completely leafless to help them conserve their water. But that does make it look like their roots are above the ground, and it gives them a nickname of the upside down tree. During the dry season, though, the baobab trees are going to store that excess water on the inside of their trunk. Animals with tusks and horns will come up and puncture holes in the bark and then drink the water from the inside. It's like sticking a straw instead of a giant wooden juice box. It gives those trees the second nickname of the Tree of Life. Now, speaking of life, looks like we are getting some luck out in the savannah, so I do see a Maasai giraffe way up ahead of us there. Now we'll get a little bit closer in just a moment or two. Definitely seeing a lot of signs that you need more wildlife out here, though. If you look at all the grass out here, you'll notice how short it is now close to the ground. A lot of animals on the savannah are what we call ruminants. And what that means is that they spend a lot of their time grazing, and they have multi-chambered stomachs. They can process as much vegetation as they get their mouths on. Things like our average dairy cows are also ruminants. First things first, we're going to find an animal den coming up on our left-hand side here. Usually a good place to find some predators. Most predators in Africa are nocturnal, so they're probably still taking a bit of a nap, but we'll see what we can spot anyways. Never know what you might find. We're in a bit of luck. Right inside that den, there is an African wild dog. Orange dog, black markings, long white tip of their tail. We'll get a little bit better view around the boulder here. The African wild dogs are some of the most successful pack hunters in all of Africa. About 4 to 5 times those guys are successful when they chase after their prey. It's because they're incredible teamwork and their stamina. When the dogs will start their chase, when they start to get tired, they'll tap in where their friends get that hunt. They're a bit more successful than traditional solo hunters. Make sure you're staying seated, my friends. We gotta be fully seated. Please sit down. Thank you. Also coming off your left-hand side here, there's a few sable antelope back in the back, dark brown ones, white markings, gray-colored horns, as well as some wildebeest. Those are the light gray animals, thin black stripes, small gray and black ones. The sable antelope are sort of the official emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. We picked them in particular because out in the wild, whenever they're forced into a fight or flight response, 9 times out of 10, they're going to hold their ground and fight with those long horns in their heads. The wildebeest group together in herds over 1.5 million of them, and that actually makes them the second largest group of animals in the world, next only to humans, who will group together in larger herds. During the dry season, wildebeest will migrate all over Africa to try and find water, but if they ever would like to go after an event, they can just follow their own scent. They do have scent glands built in their hooves. They can use both deposit and pick their scent right back up, and then quite literally retrace their own steps. But because their herds are so large, when the wildebeest migrate, they're going to kick up so much dust and so much dirt. We are capable of tracking the migration patterns from space. I'll get a fantastic look at these giraffe here to your right-hand side. These are Maasai giraffe. They are one of 4 different species of giraffe. They're also the largest of the 4, growing to about 18 to 20 feet tall on average. The giraffe will spend about 16 hours a day just eating, but they only need to sleep about 30 minutes every single day, and they'll usually break that up into a few minute-long naps rather than sleeping a full 30 minutes in one go. More often than not, the giraffe also sleeps standing up. When you're as tall as the giraffe is, it can take a lot of time, a lot of effort to lay down and to stand back up, so they really don't do that a whole lot. Unless they're in reserves like this one, as well as in zoos, and they feel completely comfortable, there's not too many predators nearby. Despite their long necks, though, the giraffe do have the same amount of vertebrae as you and me. The vertebrae are the bones in our neck. Both you, me, every single one of those giraffe, we each have 7 of them. The giraffe's bones are just much bigger than ours are. Giraffe also have much larger hearts than humans do and much higher blood pressure. For scale, a human's heart is just about the size of our fist. A giraffe's heart grows to about 30 inches long, about 20 pounds on average, and their blood pressure is just about double the average human, so it makes them have the highest blood pressure out of any animal in the world. To our right-hand side, you're going to find a Hartman's mountain zebra. They're one of 3 different species of zebras. They all have different types of stripes. A zebra's stripes are also unique to each individual zebra, kind of like a human's fingerprint. Within 15 minutes of being born, baby zebras will memorize some of their stripes, pick her out from the dazzle. The group of zebras is called a dazzle. Way up ahead of us here on the hillside, you'll see an Ankole cattle. Reddish brown cattle, white markings, huge tan horns. There'll be a few more under those palm trees there to our right as well. The Ankole cattle are some of the only domesticated species out here on the reserve, also nicknamed the Watusi cattle after the tribe that first domesticated them. Both males and females have those enormous horns on their heads, but despite their large size, they're actually pretty lightweight. Mostly hollow, made of a honeycomb-like structure, with a bunch of air pockets inside of them, and blood vessels reach up to the tippy tops of their horns. They work the exact same way that a radiator works for a car, helping to cool them off during hotter days.
Yeah.
The Ankole cattle are also seen as a symbol of wealth out in Africa. The more of them that you have, the wealthier that you are. And at nighttime, farmers will herd them together into a circular structure called a boma to keep them safe. Boma is a Swahili word which means safe place. One more giraffe out there to your left. But that seems like just all we're going to find here in the savannas right now. So let's take a detour out towards elephant country, see what we can spot over here. All of these knocked over trees up ahead of us here are a fantastic sign that something much larger and much stronger came through this way. And I'm not sure about you all, but big and strong definitely matches the description of an elephant to me. Not too much activity out here quite yet. We're just going to keep a lookout. You never know what you might find. If you look carefully to our left-hand side here in the shade of those trees, you'll see some mandrills, light green monkeys, blue and red markings, their face and hindquarters. Mandrills are the largest species of monkeys. Males weigh just about 100 pounds, and females weigh between 30 and 40. Males are that much bigger one down there with the kind of orange-looking beard.
Oh, look at the monkey.
A group of mandrills is also called a troop. Troop of mandrills. Still no luck on those elephants quite yet, but we have one more chance to see some here with this real close side. If there's not any over here, there is another watering hole to check out and see if there's any over there instead. It seems like that's going to be our plan. The African elephants, unfortunately, are an endangered species. Farmers in Africa are kind of having a hard time keeping them away from their crops. They would come and steal them like a quick snack, and farmers were starting to use some less than kind means to try to keep elephants away. So here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, we decided to try and find a better way. Using money from the Disney Conservation Fund, we set up a research program to study the vocalizations of elephants, and during our research we learned elephants are actually afraid of bees and will warn each other if there are bees nearby. So using their vision, made a type of fence that stores the beehive on the inside of the fence itself. Farmers can place on their crops, the elephants will stay away from the bees and warn their friends, and the farmers get the added benefit of making a profit off of the honey the bees make. I'm not sure about you all, but that's like a pretty sweet deal to me. If you want to learn more of the Conservation Fund or make a donation today too, you can do that at any merchandise location here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And the Walt Disney Company will also match any donations made. Dollar for dollar, penny for penny. Every single cent helps out wildlife like you see here on this reserve today. Now it looks like there's a bunch of tusk marks here on either side of the truck and some elephant footprints nearby. That's a good sign we'll see some around here. It looks like we're in luck too. There's a couple there to our left-hand side. We'll try and get a better view. The elephants like to scrape their tusks against that clay. They're going to break off small chunks and actually eat those chunks of clay. They're really high in minerals like iron to create their diet, so it's not like nature's multivitamins for them. Now that one way out there up ahead of us, that one's a little bit smaller than the rest down here. She is a little bit on the younger side, roughly about 6 years old, so she's still a bit of a baby. Elephants do actually have the second longest childhoods out of any mammals. They're going to stay with their moms till they're roughly about 16 or 17 years old. After that, they can either stay with the same herd they've always lived in, or they can break off into their own herd. And they are going to split into two separate herds. A bachelor herd of just the adult male elephants, and a family herd of the adult females and the children. You can see her back looks like it's kind of a different color than the rest of their skin. Elephants will pick up sand, dirt, mud, and water with their trunks, then fling that up onto their backs. Works the same as sunscreen, bug repellent, and moisturizer. Works for humans. You might also see her flap those ears back and forth, and they kind of do that like a built-in air conditioning system. Elephants have a bunch of blood vessels on their ears, so when they flap them back and forth, it'll send a cool breeze back there to cool them off a bit. Despite misconception, elephants don't really drink directly through their trunks. Instead, they actually use some kind of like a big straw. They can suck up about 2.5 gallons of water into their trunks at one time, then move them to the mouths and drink water through there. It's kind of like sticking a straw into a cup of water, putting your thumb over the holes, and then picking up the straw. don't see many more elephants, but I do see some greater flamingos coming up here to our left-hand side. The greater flamingos are a lighter pink color than their cousins, the lesser flamingo, but they're also larger in size. Born a more light gray color, it takes about 1 year for them to be fully grown, and another year after that for them to be fully pink. Flamingos will eat brine shrimp and krill that are really high in a mineral called beta-carotene. That's what gives them that bright pink tone, and it's the same thing in carrots that'll make them bright orange. Flamingos are also filter feeders. They'll stick their heads underneath the water, then open and close their beaks repeatedly. That'll filter in the brine shrimp that they want to eat and make sure that the sand and dirt stays out so they don't have to eat that stuff. A group of flamingos is also called a flamboyance. A flamboyance of flamingos. A group of elephants is a parade. A group of zebra is a dazzle. A group of giraffe is a tower. And a group of wildebeest is a confusion. Another name for a group of wildebeest is an impossibility. And it's my favorite grouping names of any animals out here on the reserve. Up ahead of us here, there's a pretty big mud hole in the grass. There's a couple of white rhinos out here too, including a baby. See that little one there to the left of their mom? The white rhinos unfortunately have really horrible eyesight and they rely on their hearing to sense their surroundings, so you want to stay a little bit quiet around them. The white rhinos are not actually white in color. Their name really comes from a mistranslation of the Afrikaans word vite. The word vite means wide, which is in reference to their mouths.
Yeah.
Much wider, more triangular shaped, helps to graze at grass, spreading leaves off of bushes and tree branches. That baby out there to the left is the middle child of 3 out here on the reserve. He's roughly about 1 year and 8 months old. His younger half-sister is about 1 year and 4 months, and his older half-brother is a little over 2 years old. Mother rhinos are pregnant for just about 16 months. And when they're first born, their babies weigh just about 250 pounds. They grow right about 100 pounds each month, to reach their fully grown weight of 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Despite their large size though, rhinos can run pretty fast, speeds of about 30 miles per hour. And when they do run, they'll gallop, which means there are times where all 4 of their feet be off the ground at one point, run the same way that horses do. But speaking of fast, up ahead of us here on this ridge, to our left, you'll find a cheetah. Light yellow streak right there, black dots, white tip on their tail.
Yeah.
Cheetahs are the fastest land animals in the world, able to go 0 to 60 miles per hour in just about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And they can only keep that speed up for about 5 seconds, but if they slow down, they're more sprinters than they are marathon runners. A cheetah's claws are non-retractable, which will help them to keep a grip while they run. They'll also use their tails like a rudder to help themselves turn while they're running. And they'll have a few black tear-jelly markings, their eyes and muzzles. Those work the same way a pair of sunglasses works for a human, help keep the glare out of their eyes while they chase after their prey.
Very fast.
A group of cheetah is also called a coalition. A coalition of cheetahs.
No, we cannot run.
They're not the only big cats out in Africa though. We'll start making our way towards some Kobe rocks. Hopefully we'll find some lions. Lions like to use the Kobe rocks like a lookout, but they are a nocturnal species, spending around 16 to 20 hours a day resting or sleeping. Far more active at nighttime. That doesn't mean there's no chance of finding any lions at all right now, just means that if we do, they're probably still taking a nap. The good news though is that lions also live together in groups. We call a group of lions a pride, so hopefully we'll find some around here. At nighttime, they do have 2 different jobs. Female lions, or lionesses, they're going to go out and do all the hunting, whereas the male lions will stay back with the cubs and defend any territory they're holding at the time. The difference comes in their manes. Only male lions grow manes, the lionesses do not. The manes are really important for those male lions, though. It's a whole lot of hair, roughly about 14 pounds worth on average. You can see a few animals here to your right. Way back in the distance by that green truck, you'll see some ostrich. Now, light brown antelope laying down is a bontebok. The bontebok, unfortunately, is probably the most endangered species here on the reserve, but also one of the best success stories of conservation in the world. Back in the 1930s, there were only 17 left in the wild. That's less than there are people on this truck. A farmer noticed this, built a fence on them, kept them safe, and now today there's around 3,500. Much better off than they were, but definitely still endangered, and they do still need our help. But they're a fantastic example that even one person can make a huge difference when it comes to helping out wildlife. We're in luck for a lion, though. You can see that male lion laying right there on that cliffside.
Yeah, let's see it.
During the daytime, their eyesight is just as good as ours is, but at nighttime, their eyesight is roughly about 6 times better than humans. Capable of running at speeds around 55 miles per hour. At their full volume, a lion's roar can be heard for up to 5 miles away from where it originates. A couple of burrows here to the left-hand side. Good place to see some warthogs. They are the world's largest burrowing mammals, and they'll do good with the razor-sharp tusk that they have. You can see them right out there in the sun, laying down by that tree. Kind of dark brown, fuzzy looking rocks, but you see those kind of tan colored tusks poking up. They have 4 tusks in total, 2 on the top males and 2 on the bottom. They're razor sharp, and that's how they use to dig their burrows. You all probably know of a famous warthog too from the Lion King. His name is Pumbaa. But what you might not know is that Pumbaa is also a spelling word. It translates to foolish. But that's actually very uncharacteristic of warthogs. They're pretty smart animals, and close to the common pigs, who are also really smart too. A couple more rhinos out there to your right. Looks like we found that baby girl. She's the youngest down here. Looks like there's also a couple of ostrich eggs there on the ground to the right-hand side. Their eggs are incredibly durable. The average human being can stand on top of one without it cracking. Stand around 400 pounds of pressure per square inch. Ostrich, though, are actually really smart birds, despite their brains being a bit smaller than their eyeballs. They're not going to attempt to incubate those eggs unless they know that they've been fertilized. As we can tell, they're only female ostrich out here on the reserve. Well, we'll make our way in towards the last section of the reserve here, called the Magadi Glen. The wardens have set up an outpost in the glen and adopted some Nigerian dwarf goats to take care of. You can see them all the way up here on the hillside. The wardens adopted these goats for a few reasons. They're pretty cute. They like to run around and play on the lawn today. The milk is also incredibly nutritious. More nutritious than cow's milk. They're easier to take care of. The goats are private with space and won't eat almost any vegetation. Having domesticated animals like these ones on the reserve is great for conservation. It'll help us rely a bit less on wildlife to get profit, because we can sell goat's milk and goat's cheese to the local village. But unfortunately, my friends, we are going to start making our way off the reserve and back towards the village of Harambe, which means our safari is going to be coming to an end. But while you're still a bit of a captive audience, let's talk a little bit more about conservation. It's incredibly important to all the animals we saw in the reserve today, especially ones that are endangered, which unfortunately is a lot more than you think, and a lot of them for similar reasons. One of which being loss of habitats through deforestation. It affects animals like giraffes, so copies, bongos. But if we can reduce or cut back on feed products that we use, reuse them at fewer times, and recycle them afterwards, will help to save the animals' homes. The same also goes for our electronic devices. A lot of them contain a mineral that's called coltan, which is found and mined in the same places where animals like elephants, rhinos, and even lions will make their homes. So next time that you want to upgrade one of your devices, take your old one with you to your local electronics store. They should have a place where you can recycle them. They'll take materials like coltan out of there, use it in new ones rather than mining for more, which will save the animals' homes as well. But now, my friends, please take some time, double check your roads. Make sure you still have all of your personal belongings with you. It does get a little bit bumpy out there on the reserve, so things may have shifted around while you've been in motion. Parents, your first belongings does include your children. Make sure you take them with you. And if you have any trash or recyclables, please bring those off the truck as well. There is both a trash can and a recycling bin as soon as you depart on the docks. If I have any wilderness explorers on board today, you've all been on board the Simba 1, S-I-M-B-A, and the number 1. Your safari badge is on page 14 and 15 of your guidebook.
Mom, I don't want to go.
Yeah, once you get off the truck, take to the right-hand side. At the bottom of the hill by the gorilla viewing area, that's where you'll find that explorer to get you that safari badge. Page 14 and 15, Simba like the lion, and the number 1 is the name of the truck. Here in Harambe, my friends, we do not like to say goodbye. Far too sad, far too formal, so instead, we prefer to borrow these spelling phrase of Waharini, which means to go well. So my friends, Waharini, go well, go wild, go drink some water, have a fantastic day here at your